Hello, and welcome back to JT on the Go. Today, we are at DC's Union Station. If you remembered my last video about the Amtrak Acela Express, I rode it from New York to Washington, D.C., where I met Milan Lex Trains. This time, we are going to try out the Northeast Regional from Washington, D.C. to New York City. So let's get started.
Here is the magnificent Union Station in Washington, D.C. Fun fact, this station's architecture inspired the design of the Milano Centrale station in Milan, Italy. Washington, D.C.'s Union Station is the second busiest station on the Amtrak network, right behind New York's Penn Station. It's also widely considered one of the most architecturally significant buildings in our nation's capital. It is a prime example of Beaux Arts architecture, known for its grand-scale classical elements and intricate detailing. Amtrak's headquarters is also located one block west of this station. The station has plenty of stores and restaurants. From DC's Union Station, you can travel to almost all Amtrak destinations east of the Mississippi River. We are traveling to New York, this time on Amtrak's Northeast Regional. The one that says boarding isn't ours, it's an earlier one. Ours is due at 12 o'clock p.m. One detail I found at this station, which is also the most solemn I found on the Amtrak network, is a golden plaque honoring all the Amtrak employees who lost their lives in Amtrak-related accidents. It is nice to see these employees honored and remembered because their sacrifice helped make rail travel safe for everyone. My goodness, so many shops here. Okay, now we're on standby, but we have a gate and track number. The gates here use only letters, which is very different from airports. Our gate is K and our track is number 25. The majority of Amtrak Northeast Regional trains travel between Washington, D.C. and Boston, Massachusetts, covering the entire Northeast corridor. Some travel between D.C. and New York, while others go to cities in Virginia south of the District of Columbia, like Richmond and Charlottesville. We handled the boarding very poorly. We didn't know the line would be this long. This is coincidental. I found ACS 64 number 670. If you're new, you may not recall this engine. We got ACS 64 number 670 when we rode on the Amtrak Crescent after coming into DC from New Orleans and before continuing to New York. We booked coach class on the Northeast Regional, which is the cheapest option for this service, and seats are open. Because we were one of the last people to get on, this train was in the last call phase before it got the all aboard signal. We're now leaving Washington, D.C.'s Union Station. The price per coach class can vary, but the cheapest it can be is $59 per person, while the majority of Northeast Regionals that depart per day are $78 per person for coach class. The trip time from DC to New York is 3 hours and 20 minutes. Times can also be slightly different depending on which Northeast Regional you choose. The weather here makes this video look like a repeat of my two-part series about the Amtrak Crescent when it came through here. As I mentioned earlier, the deal for coach class is that you can sit anywhere you want, but because we were one of the last people on board, we got seats we didn't favor. The Amtrak Northeast Regional rolling stock is an octet of Amfleet 1 cars hauled by a Siemens ACS 64 locomotive built by Siemens. The stops here will be almost the same as what we crossed through on the Crescent. When planning train trips on the Northeast Corridor, you really have to look at the marginal cost. Yes, the Northeast Regional is cheaper than the Acela and is Amtrak's most popular service, with a ridership of 9,163,082 passengers per year. But it's a bit slower than the Acela because it makes stops in more areas. After leaving Thurgood Marshall Airport, our next stop will be Baltimore, Maryland. The Northeast Regional has coach and business class, just like many other Amtrak corridor trains across the nation. The Acela Express has business and first class, but it is more expensive and faster than the Northeast Regional because it only focuses on all the big cities on the Northeast Corridor. The Acela is faster than the Northeast Regional by an hour. One fun advantage of the Northeast Regional is that you get a view of the tracks from the back of the train. I got a decent handful of shots from here until one of the train crew individuals told me to get out. Yes, Maryland area regional commuter trains are usually seen between DC and Baltimore. The maximum speed on the Northeast Corridor is 125 miles per hour for Northeast Regional trains. Only the Acela is allowed to travel at 150 miles per hour. By now, we are nearing Baltimore's Penn Station. Gosh, there are a lot of tunnels we have to get through just to get to the station. Here's the lovely view of downtown Baltimore, Maryland's largest city. As the sun is starting to come out, we're now going the speed that we're supposed to be going. Time to check out our seat. On Amtrak cars, each seat has power outlets to use. Above is the light. FYI, if you travel on any Amtrak long-distance train east of the Mississippi River, except for the city of New Orleans or auto train, you will be in an Amtrak car for the whole journey. Here's a table. However, though this looks like a plane, the rows are 2x2, meaning on Amtrak you don't have to deal with being in the middle, like on a 3x3 fuselage between DC and New York. While the former Penn Central Railroad played a role in the development of the Northeast Corridor, the corridor itself was built in sections in the 1830s. The entire 457-mile corridor wasn't electrified until between 1912 and 1934. We got ACS-64 number 655 hauling our train. ACS-64s are my favorite locomotive in the Amtrak fleet. They were actually Amtrak's first type of locomotive built by Siemens, and to this day, they are happy they have them. So happy to the point they are the backbone of the Northeast Corridor. The restroom has everything working, though it's a little narrow. There are plenty of decent-sized racks to store luggage on the Amtrak 1. One of the 8 cars on the Northeast Regional is a quad car. This could be nice if you need to nap or concentrate. This is for bicycles, but some people do use this as a luggage rack. The difference between coach and business class is that the seats are reserved in business class. Now we are nearing Wilmington, Delaware. After we leave here, we will hit Philadelphia 30th Street Station. Alright, with the doors closed, let's go. We were supposed to be on the move by now and we're still here. We were held up here for a while. They said it was a signal problem on the corridor, which means we're not on time anymore. The same thing that happened to us happened to the Acela right there. The direction heading to DC is moving, which makes this weirder than it is. Delays are really rare for Amtrak trains on the Northeast Corridor because Amtrak owns the tracks on the corridor, and they give their trains priority here. It's a different environment than the rail lines that are owned by freight rail companies, who rarely give Amtrak trains priority. At least we're now heading to Philadelphia. All of Amtrak's HHP8s, which is the reason why the ACS-64s came along, are stored here at the Amtrak Maintenance Depot in Wilmington. Amtrak has a total of 70 ACS-64s, numbered from 600 to 670. Here's a quick look at the cafe car. If coach passengers want something to eat, they would have to come here to get it, and they would have to pay for it either with cash or card. Business class gives you snacks and a drink because it's included with your ticket. We're slowing down because we are approaching Philadelphia. It's crazy to see that the traffic leading into a big city on the Northeast Corridor is backed up, while the trains, including us, are passing all those road vehicles. Seeing something like that is normal in this area of the country, which is a big advantage of train travel. Looks like there is some refurbishment going on here. Now we're heading into New Jersey. That old building on the right is 30th Street Station, where we just left. It's not just the highways that get backed up in the Northeast. Another mode of transportation that gets backed up out here is airlines. The airspace over the Northeast can get crowded a lot by airlines because of supply and demand factors. If flights into or out of the Northeast get delayed, it can affect other flights in the rest of the continental US. This shows that this corridor, while the busiest in the Amtrak system, relieves the stress imposed by the airlines and the interstate highway systems in the Northeast. Goodbye, Philadelphia. It was a privilege seeing you again, but I do want to visit you sometime. When the Amfleets were built for Amtrak, they did an only called per head and power, meaning coaches like ours get their power to operate air conditioning, plumbing, and electricity from the engine itself. Amtrak trains that run here use the overhead lines for power. Commuter lines like SEPTA and NJ trains that use the power lines too. Now we're coming into Trenton, the state capital of New Jersey. Trenton is not far from the New Jersey/Pennsylvania border. In fact, that river we crossed before entering Trenton was actually the border. That means we left Pennsylvania behind. The next major stop will be Newark, New Jersey. The Northeast Corridor can get bumpy, especially on switcher tracks. The Amfleet 1 cars also have handrails to hold onto when crossing between cars. To open the doors to cross between carriages, you either press or kick. Look what I found, one of Amtrak's old Turboliner RTL-3s in the Acela paint scheme rusting in New Jersey. Somewhere near the piece of the corridor between Trenton and Newark is where you'll find Princeton University, which is one of the handful of Ivy League colleges in the northeastern US. NJ Transit has a special service that shuttles passengers from Princeton University to the Northeast Corridor at Princeton Junction, called the Dinky. We're now slowing down to enter Newark, New Jersey. My thoughts on this trip. This service and the others on the Northeast Corridor are convenient and cost-effective. The Northeast Regional and the Acela are both competing with the airlines. If you fly to Newark, New Jersey and are heading into New York City, you can use NJ Transit, PATH, and Amtrak trains to get into Manhattan. With Newark out of the way, we're now heading to the Big Apple. The only thing I disliked was my poor coordination when boarding, ending up at the back of the line and nearly missing the train. This is my fault, and for me, this video will serve as a lesson that should be learned for my next Amtrak corridor train trip. It's difficult to see the World Trade Center and the rest of Manhattan from here. If you travel on Amtrak between New York and Boston, you'll have some closer grade views of Manhattan. Unfortunately, when coming from New Jersey, you won't see Manhattan at close range because we have to go under the Hudson River via tunnel to reach the Moynihan train hall at Penn Station. You can see Manhattan from here. If you want to see what the Moynihan train hall looks like, check out my video about the Acela from New York to D.C. Here we go, into New York. I love that city. We arrived at the Moynihan train hall at Penn Station, located at the Madison Square Garden. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Amtrak's Northeast Corridor is efficient and reliable, and the Northeast Regional is one option to recommend. See you next time.